Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Carnival Central is here with Mr. Neil Bernard, one of the best well-known music producers in the soca industry. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Bernard.
You're welcome. How
Thank
you
you.
doing?
Alright, Mr. Bernard, can you give me an idea of how long you've been producing soca in Trinidad?
Trinidad and the Caribbean, the better part of maybe 20 years. So when I began as a teenager, musician, and I branched off into engineering, and then I slowly, climbed the ladder to become a producer.
Okay. So being involved in this industry for so long, how have you seen the industry change in the past 2 decades?
Past 2 decades, well, not enough. It has changed. I go back. I change that back. We've had quite significant change, but it's still not enough. We've begun to become more organized. We are beginning to implement better business models. Producers and artists and arrangers and all the stakeholders are becoming more aware of their role. Excuse me, let me just silence this phone. Silence. Yeah. So more aware of the way the business is governed in terms of copyright, intellectual property, and that kind of stuff. So yes, there's been significant change, but there's a lot more work to be done to get the industry not only locally but regionally where it needs to be and where it has the potential to be.
What do you think needs to be done?
Education, front and center. People need to be educated. We also need to have the various government ratify whatever treaties need to be, so people can collect their royalties. Their neighboring rights, their performing rights. We need to have people in government, really implement policies that will lead to growth and sustainability. Right? We have a lot of youngsters who are going to school now. We have UTT. We have guys graduating with music degrees, and musicians typically want to play music. They don't want to teach. Right? So if we have a case where a lot of guys graduate, and what do they do after they graduate? They teach. We need to create more playing opportunities. We need to encourage a situation where, business people who own pubs and clubs and whatnot, employ musicians for as important as music is for Trinidad and Caribbean during Carnival time. It isn't reflected throughout the year, and we need to really cultivate a scenario and a scene where music is played and musicians are compensated adequately. They spend the years. Nobody wakes up one morning and plays a saxophone.
Right.
And not only that, plays a saxophone to the level where the audience can be wowed and impressed. It takes years. It takes more years to become an accomplished musician than it does to become, an engineer, right? Or to graduate medical school. And like everything else, it takes constant.
People don't appreciate the amount of work they have to put in.
You know what? Maybe. Well, some do, right? But it's not only about appreciation, right? It is recognizing the arts on the whole, and if you're going to develop into a sophisticated society, we can't ignore. Art is important. Our culture is important. Cultivating it, preserving it, and also, the history of it. Everybody can't believe that they're inventing something and then there's no acknowledgement to the tremendous work that so many people do before it gets to this point. So it's a lot of things. It's like I said, education front and center.
Okay, cool. So, Mr. Bernard, can you give us any ideas of the local artists that you've worked with, or?
Well, pretty much most. Most, I guess, in the, because I guess we're into a new crop, right? We have, this guy, one of my favorite, Lyrical, right?
Okay.
We have Lyrical, he's new, I haven't done anything with him. You know, we have people like Swappy, he's pretty new. We have a lot of young ones coming up, right? But I have worked with well, I guess now they may be considered the veterans, which is kind of strange,
The old
right?
fogies in the industry.
You know what? I would not use that term, um, but veterans are much more
They've
respectable
been around.
term.
They've been around.
Yeah,
Right,
they're
right,
much
yeah.
more respectable term to use than
Definitely.
old fogies, yeah. But the Destras, the Sherwin Winchester, the Marshall Montanos, the Bungees, the Fay and Lions, the Albert Georges, the Kess, who am I forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people.
Marshall Montano.
Yeah, of course, Marshall Montano. I mean, I've pretty much been fortunate enough to work with practically
Most of the major ones.
everybody. Well, all the major ones, right? My first road march was road marches I remember in 2004, 2005, 2008, 2009, Soca Monarchs in 2006, 2009. I have titles all throughout the Caribbean, Barbados, St. Vincent, multiple road marches, movies, you name it. Right, I have,
But how does it make you feel that, when you're a producer, you're behind the music, so you don't really get a lot of the credit for the
I don't
actual
get
work?
very credit.
I mean, a lot of people wouldn't know, like Neil Bernard, like, you get...
Well, people
one
don't
Hollywood.
know. Actually, a lot of people do know.
The artist will know.
No,
Like,
a
how
lot
you
of people.
think
Well,
about the...
listen, a lot of people do know I get recognized all the time. No, the thing about being a producer on music, especially in Trinidad, it's all about right here and right now. Right? So, but yeah, I mean, I meet people all the time who recognize my name, and I prefer that way. People might not recognize my face, but I also played in bands. I played in Traffic for years. I played in Atlantic. I played in Ecstatic for a while. So fame has never been my
Not your
goal.
goal.
You know what I mean? But doing the music has been.
It's just the love of the music that drives you.
Well, that's a kind of cliche line, love music, but there is something special when you do music. For people who are fortunate enough to do it, right? I'm only so with Pelam Godod, right? That's a name you may not be familiar with, but he is. Right, Pelam Godod is a name the entire Caribbean should be familiar with. He's done work and music for people all through the Caribbean, all through the diaspora, all New York, all Miami, England. Right, he has to his credit 13 road matches, all the Super Bowls road matches, right? David Rudder, right? Tambu, Calypso Rose, he's also currently the arranger for Exodus.
Wow.
Right, but so, and this is where we get back to the point about education and history.
Right, you're not
Right.
taught about these things.
Well, right, so and you hear musicians and rappers talk about all the pioneers in the Sugar Hill Gang and Africa Bambata, and they could talk about all the DJs who started up and in Jamaica as well, and there's a lot you will lose as a society if we don't pay attention to history, and not only history in terms of
The musical
music,
history.
but history as a whole, sports,
Mm.
right? Business.
Yeah.
Your history is important, right? But let's end that lecture right here, right? Yeah. So the question, trying to get back to the question, in terms of what were we talking about before I went?
We're talking about you being the man behind the music.
Yeah. So doing music. So like I said, we're going to Pelham. Pelham is a real head case, right? It kicks right through. But doing music is always a serious thing. So you're laughing your ass off all day,
Yes, it's
but you're
serious.
doing music as well. And guys come to play, and you work with all the good musicians, all the horn players, bassists, guitarists, Tony Vozel, Albert Bush, and you learn a lot, And I used to say, boy, I had to be lucky person in the world because I get to make music all day. It has its challenges, sure. But for people who get a chance to do what they love for a living,
Can't beat that.
you can't beat it. You can't beat it. And I'm just one of the few in the world, or hopefully one of the many in the world, who can say that I do that.
Okay, cool. So how much longer do you think you want to be in this industry
As
for?
long as I am alive as long as I have breath in my body, and my faculties are intact. You know, yeah, because I will never stop contributing once I can. You know, your roles may change. You know, I love mixing. You know, I could easily, you'll always be doing. I'll always be producing, right? I mean, I'll always be doing something in music because I write it, I produce it, I mix it, I play it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'll be doing something always.
Okay, with the advent of all this new technology, everybody have songs on their phone and taking songs off the internet. How do you think that has affected our local music industry?
You mean freeness?
Yes.
Well, freeness has affected the industry worldwide. Yeah. And if they have different models where they're trying to, they're trying to, well, it gives the impression that it's free. It's like open a pipe, right? The impression is that water is free, but it really isn't, right? So you pay for your supply at home, and even when you get water from public sources, it's paid somehow, right? So freeness ultimately cannot and will not work, and the music industry is grappling, how to get consumers to pay, because it costs money to produce music, right? Yeah. It may cost less now, but
there's still a cost involved.
It's still a tremendous cost involved. You need to do music, you need to do a video, you need to promote, you need to market. It costs money to market, it costs money to
But does it hurt you more as a producer? Because the artists go out there and they get paid to perform.
Well, it hurts everybody. It hurts everyone,
Right.
The artists, in some ways, and some artists are fortunate enough to be hired. There's many artists who don't have an active performance schedule, so the other revenue streams are important for them. Royalties from the radio, whatever synchronization rights they can master, from publishing, that's important. So we always look at the artists at the top of the food chain.
Right.
Always remember, in music, the people they say at the top are the exceptions to the rule.
Okay.
Right? The rule is closer to, people having to go to work every day. Right? People who we see that are stars. So for every one Rihanna, there are dozens that don't get to be Rihanna.
Have 100 others.
Right? Dozens others, right? To every producer like myself, who's going on to, and at least in our local scene, you're winning titles, and if it's on the radio, and people, I am fortunate enough that people still find me valuable because they still call my phone, Neil, I'm going to mix for me, Neil, I have a song, whatever it is. Alright, my music and my reputation is all that I have based my success on. My rule was, if I'm good enough, people will seek me out. So my constant challenge is to be relevant, to do music, to have a style, to hold fast to my work ethic, and that is what takes me forward. So yeah, so the freeness. What happened? Yeah.
Okay, but how competitive is the music producing industry?
Oh, very it's very, very, very competitive, especially now when you have so many talented producers setting up shop, and it's much easier to set up shop, right? It would cost you in the past nothing short of a couple $100,000, to set up a decent recording studio.
Right.
Now, with the kind of technology that we have, you can do it for a lot less. Yeah, so it is very, very competitive.
So how do you keep yourself at the top of the food chain?
You work as hard as you could possibly fucking work. Right? You need to keep learning, right? And for me, listen, you need to be able to take the bumps, right? So I had a long run as a producer. The trend has shifted where we focus now a lot on groovy. So I was known as what they now call the power soca, right? Road marches and soca and that kind of stuff, right? But you have to be able to deal with the ebb and flow of life, up and down, right? And keep doing the work. Pharrell who was now come back into prominence as well forever, but he was part of my tune. They had a bag of hit, right? And he's always been doing what he's doing, you know, Nile Rodgers and these guys, they've always been around. So for me, doing the work is important and not getting caught up in the hype of it all. And a hype is part of the business, sure.
Of course, neither.
But, you know, music is, you know, every song is like a little moment, it's like a little solid rock. And it speaks for itself. It's supposed to. So at the end of the day, you compete by being good at what it is you do, right? And you have to be able to, like any business, you know, there's ups and downs, you know, you roll with it, and you try to make better decisions. You know, the next time around when the opportunities present itself again.
Okay, so is there any current work that you're doing right now that you think would be prominent next year?
Do I think? You know what? I used to try to predict, but I don't anymore. I do the work and I get it out there. I just make sure all my work has, you know, it can withstand scrutiny, has the kind of integrity, and let people decide. You know, you could predict, because I tell you, I have for the titles and the successes that I've had them. I've never gone out and said, go win a road match. Right? I win the road match once, twice, you know, wherever I learn, it wins. It doesn't win because I think I'm just the road match boss.
Yeah.
Right? Every song, I can take you through every single song and tell you the story about every song and where we stump our toes, you know, where we thought, nah, but there's some real shit, yeah, there's some what do you hear? I can tell you that. I can take you through all these songs and take you on that journey from, you know, the idea to the finished product, and they're all different. So I do the work and people decide, you know, if I do my job well, you know, you'll hear about it.
Okay. Do you write songs of your own?
I have, but I typically write in a collaborative sense in terms of artists will come into the studio, they will have a song, one idea for a song, I will contribute in that way, I will suggest changes or make changes, right? One of my few like efforts at really just writing a song was Bacchanal, right? The show I was playing the band at the time.
That was a song.
Yeah, it was a boss song. You seem surprised. Yeah.
That was a song. I didn't know. See, look at that. I didn't know
Yeah.
you helped write that song.
Yeah. Well, the show we were in the band room. We were just jamming, spin drums at the time, and there's just like this thing. I need Bacchanal. You got me Bacchanal. I need Bacchanal. Shock and one of the guys and they jamming and she was going, I need Bacchanal. I said, did that real good. What's song that from? She said, Dynamo song. So very night after rehearsal, I wrote Ricky Rameshwar, you know, plays with Kess, over the studio, over some guys over. Dean, the guitarist, and we drive out, you know, I feel and I hum and then they left and I just went to work. Right, and I wrote most of the songs that show. I wrote the second verse. Yeah, but I, you know, composed the melody and stuff, and I don't often settle and write. I don't know why, because none of the time, but I just don't.
Okay. So, okay, let me get up into another sphere, right?
Sure.
What have you seen in the last, like, couple of years with Carnival that has really opened your eyes?
Open my eyes to what?
Like in terms of the, like, okay, say you've been involved in Carnival for a long time, right? In the, obviously, music producing part of it. But you as a masquerader.
Really, I am. I'm not a masquerader.
You're not a masquerader? You don't play mask at all?
Really, infrequently.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think of like the difference in like the costumes and stuff? Or
Man, you're gonna get me in trouble here with this one, right?
Nah, man, you speak freely, man. Speak freely.
Listen, Carnival, you know, things change, right? We used to have mass bands that were led by actual mass men. We don't have mass men anymore, but not in the big bands, right? We have entrepreneurs, and being an entrepreneur is great.
Yeah.
Right? And you have, you know, there is something, I did a course, one course I did at UV. It was called the commodification of culture. and they speak about what happens to culture. When one of the things that can happen is, you know, you go with what you think people want because that's where the money is, right? So in Carnival, where the money is apparently is what we refer to as bikini and
Skimpy
beads,
bikini.
right? That's what everybody's doing, right? And we go back a few years and we look at the, you know, the Minchels and the Green Barclays
McFarlane.
and the McFarlanes, and we see creations that, you know, the band had a theme that was reflected in its design, and it's really a spectacle to behold. People would stand on the street and wait to see each band, and you could tell what the band was about.
Right.
Right. A couple years ago, I won't call the band name, but there's this person reading out what the band is, and and there's nothing of what she's saying on TV. It
Translated
matches
to what?
what you're saying, right? But people want to have fun, so the experience is now about fun. You know, in my day, as masquerade, I had to
It's
be a
about
warrior,
art. Yeah.
right? Not you come on the street and you go in, what's the music playing, right? You get in a drink anywhere, right? But now the experience is different, and not that I'm knocking it much.
Feel free, you know, if
You
you wanna
know,
knock it.
it's about, you know, the convenience, right? I know what
Right.
something like great. I guess it's really convenient to have bathrooms following you for the day. That's cool, right? You have all the drinks trucks and stuff. I mean, for the masquerader, it's great, but you compare it to carnivals of old, and in terms of what I think the spectator got out of seeing all these different bands, right? Everybody was different. The designers, you know, there was something of themselves in design. So that is not it's no longer like that, right? You know, you can put practically any banner over any
Yeah,
band.
they just name it anything and just throw
You're
bikinis
right,
on.
right? No, I'm not against beautiful women,
I don't think any of us are.
right? Right? You know, and it's great, but I don't know. So the thing is, though, people buying it, people paying the money, and once people want to pay for it, it will keep happening,
Sure.
right? So my personal thing might be that, you know, but clearly the current generation masqueraders and the future generation, you know, nothing stays the same, right? And we don't always like where things go, but part of being able to thrive and survive going forward is the ability to adapt.
Okay.
So we adapt and
Cool.
take pictures and look at them from
Alright, okay, cool. So let me get an idea from you what feeling you get when you're in a party and you hear your song playing. Do you get a feeling of pride? Do you feel like, you know, I was there, I did
You
that?
know what? I often think that I should, but I don't. You know, I
So you just hear it and it's just another song for
You
you?
know what? I always think about what I'm going to do next.
Okay.
Right? You know, when you have a hit, it's fucking done. A hit is over as soon as it happens. Right?
It's so quick, it just...
It's trust me, it happens. I mean, I remember when I did my first road march, before the season was done, I was telling Sharon, we're going to do next year. I don't know, but next year we did Dead or Alive. Right? So it's cool, but I am always kind of like, what am I gonna
Moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's great, you know, but it's always about the turning, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, a hit will take care of itself. And you need to do it next hit.
Right. So as you were saying earlier, you were saying that we have moved more towards the groovy soca, right? How much of the type of music that we listen to is influenced by the producer?
How much? Well,
I mean, the artist will come up with the song. Like
Yeah.
you say, the artist might come up and sing the song, but then you might have a different style of the song.
right.
You might want to send in a different direction.
Well, it depends on the artist, right? There's some artists who, you know, they have a style and their influence is very heavy on the song. And there's some producers who are equally as influential. You will have to take that on a producer by producer basis and an artist by artist thing, because it can go, you know, an artist will seek out a producer for whatever reason he or she might have, right? Some artists it's just a matter of because they had a hit, right? They might like what you've done. A lot of times it's that, you know. Some artists and producers have relationships, you know, that they feel comfortable, they can work, they can get the best out of, you know, their song with this particular producer. You know, so it's different. But producers are quite influential. Um, and artists can be as well, you know. There's a Marshall Montano or an Iowa George.
So he'll just come and know what he wants.
Not necessarily. You know, Marshall is open to new things, right? He knows what he likes, right? So, and I guess I could say broadly that he wants a hit, but he is quite open. The process with him is quite open to discovery, you know, and that's how he's able to do what he does. He's not myopic at all. He is very open-minded.
Open-minded. Okay, cool. Well, we want to thank Mr. Neil Bernard for being here with us today. We definitely stay tuned for what great songs he's going to come up with us next year. And stay tuned for more segments from Carnival Central.
Carnival Central. Here we go.